You're tuning into the X Factor of Safety. I'm your host, Pedro Maciel. Here at the X Factor of Safety, we like to discuss industry topics, both safety and not safety. We dive into daily lives of safety pros and various industry leaders, digging deep and finding out what their X Factor is. Welcome back, everybody. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. Today, we have an exciting episode on the X Factor of Safety. We are here with the one, the only Jennifer Martinez, founder of JMAR Solutions, occupational wellness, and she does a lot for the frontline people that are out there in the heat. So I'll stop talking and I'll let her go ahead and introduce herself and tell us a little bit about herself.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Thank you. That was awesome what you said. Intros are the hardest part. So you just killed it. So thank you. Occupational wellness. And Pedro, I know right now with everything you're doing with the safety industry that you have so much that you have on your plate. And so having me on is a huge deal. And so I appreciate you taking the time to do that too, because that tells me a lot about who you are as a person. It tells me a lot about that you truly do care and you really are about putting your employees and people that work with you first. Because, I know right now it's a stressful time and you could have just been like, I don't have time for this, because didn't you just start getting back to work?
Yeah, just getting back to work and the grind and reopening and making sure everything's implemented with this whole COVID-19 pandemic and keeping people safe. And then, again, they're the ones that make the world go round for us.
Absolutely.
So the workers that are out there on the front line. So.
And that's why, I was talking to you, like we need to get together because people just need to know that there's solutions out there. Like you said, I'm occupational wellness. I started a new company right as this stuff was all happening, which is always fun. I've been a sports medicine trainer for over 20 years and worked with athletes and sports teams, football teams, basketball teams, volleyball teams, but what I like to always talk about is my football players because they deal with the elements. They're out in the heat of Texas, and everything in Texas is about football, right?
Yeah.
Well, it used to be.
Football state.
Definitely. And my son's a football player going to play D1 in the fall, hopefully.
Nice.
And so, depending on what happens with COVID, if you're listening to this, we're recording it during, on our way out of what do they call it? Quarantine?
Yes.
Yeah. So, dealing with athletes, the one thing that they care about is performance. And the one thing parents care about is that their kid is going to be healthy, and that their heart is going to be, work well. And so as a sports medicine trainer, I would, I'd work with athletes and they would want to get faster, stronger, jump higher, all those things. Right. Well, the best way to do that is to tear them down and then to teach them how to fuel their body and then rest, right? Rest and recovery. That's how you grow. That's how you get faster, stronger. Well, the products that I use with them was from a company that's been around for over 40 years that uses natural, stuff from the earth, minerals, and because that's foundational for every athlete. That's how you develop muscles, your heart, your organs, everything function off of minerals. And athletes these days just don't get it. And then they're sweating it all out, like our football players, electrolytes and minerals. And so what I did is I was noticing, like, whenever I'd have my roof worked on, or if I had any kind of work done at the house, like I just got a new AC unit last year, and I would say, hey, try these electrolyte, supplements that I use with my athletes. My internet connection is unstable. Am I cutting out?
No, you're very so slightly, but I can see you and I hear everything you're doing, and it's recording, so we're good.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure because I do this too, so I know what to look for. And so they would be like, well, what is that stuff? What is that stuff I just took? I feel amazing. I feel energized. I have clarity of thought. I mean, like I don't have cramps at night, how do I get this stuff? And it's so inexpensive. And so I would help, people with that. And then it was like last year around this time, I was a part of a mastermind group. And I went to see one of the companies that has these huge warehouses.
Yeah.
And these skilled workmen and these engineers, and they're working in these warehouses, and it's like 100 and something degrees in there, and they've got water bottles everywhere, but they're exhausted, and they only can work for a few hours at a time because they're just drained. They're just they don't have anything else to give because they don't know how to fuel their body.
Right.
And so I went to the owner of the company, and I was like, listen, I know how to fuel athletes for performance in these kind of environments. It's the same thing. Why don't we implement that with your company? And he was like, it's a great idea, because looking at it as some people might say, well, you want to just get more out of your employees. And it's like, no, if you have employees that don't have to go to emergency room for IVs because they're, dehydrated, if you have employees that don't have, your organs rely on hydration. And if you don't have that, they shut down. And then that's medical bills out the yin yang. Yeah. Tell me if I'm going too fast because I get kind of passionate about it.
Yeah, I know, and it's great that you're passionate about it. And that's one of my questions. How did you come up with the idea to get these concentrated electrolyte drops that work so well? I've seen some of the Instagram posts and some of the the YouTube videos. So I want to know how did you come up with the idea? And you were segueing right into it, so it's great.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about it, Pedro. It's so simple. It's so simple that people need to I want to just let everybody know about it, but it's also complicated because people don't understand it. They're like, right. Okay, sure. Okay, lady, put a couple of drops in my water. But what people don't understand is that water alone, like when we used to, we were meant to drink water from a river. Think about it. You're meant to drink water that's flowing down a river over rocks. And so it has high mineral content and our bodies can absorb that. But that's not what we drink. Right. If we even drink enough water, which we don't, we're extremely dehydrated as a nation in general. But what happens is we RO, reverse osmosis water, or we have bottled water. Those go through filtration processes. And so when you have a filtration process going on with the water, it strips out the yucky stuff we don't want in our bodies, that you would get from the local lake.
Right.
But it also takes out the minerals and electrolytes that you need to maintain pH levels in your body. I'm not going to nerd out because people can read about, I think we're overly, I think we have too much information. We have information overload, so I don't want to bore people with this, but you can't absorb the water you're drinking and use it for fuel for energy unless there's mineral content in it. Because the pH levels in your body have to be a certain way or your organs shut down. So what we see with a lot of athletes these days is they're not getting the mineral content from their food because it's not in the soil, or they're not choosing to eat good foods, right? Or they're not, and they're not getting it in their water. So the body will take it from your bones and use it to and so you have brittle bones, and you have athletes who they're breaking their bones easier than they did when you and I were growing up. Well, when I was growing up, you're younger, but we didn't have the same kind of injuries. We didn't, and the ACLs and all that kind of stuff, because all of those things, if you have good minerals in your body, they work better for you. Does that make sense? Without getting too nerdy. And don't fact check me on all of my stuff because I'm not a doctor, but I'm just kind of giving in general why just drinking water alone doesn't work. Why people are looking for those energy drinks. I never looked for energy drinks when I was growing up. I was a ball. I'm still a ball of energy, but my husband and I were talking about when we were growing up, we never needed an energy drink before a game. No. And so we had what we needed for energy.
Milk. Yeah, I need a glass of milk and some water. You're good.
Glass of milk.
Keep the bones good, and then water just to keep us hydrated. And then obviously they gave us Gatorade, but it has so much sugar, like you said. Some of those energy drinks and stuff out there, they race the heart. You get a big boost of energy, but then you have a hard crash because it just brings you down
and it dehydrates you even more.
Yes.
That's the problem. So you're dehydrated even more. So if you're looking at the average construction worker, which you deal with every day, they get home and not only are they exhausted and they have to still deal with family, which that affects, I don't know how you are, but when I don't feel good, everybody in this household is walking on eggshells. We're like, oh, mom's hungry, or mom's, it affects the family life, and then it affects the work life, and then it affects relationships. It affects everything. Mm-hmm. But if you feel good, it affects everything in a good way too. So if you go for those energy drinks, you'll get an immediate energy boost, but you don't get the long-term endurance energy that you want. Like if you give an athlete caffeine, they're great for like 15, 20 minutes, but bam, they hit that wall.
Yeah.
We need them for a whole half. So what I would do with my son is I would fuel him up with the electrolytes, stamina stuff that we use, and JMAR solutions, whatever you want to call it, and he would have an awesome second half after an exhausting first half because so if you fuel the body right, it works better for you. And so that's why I kind of thought, I was like, okay, we really need a solution because I'm looking at all this stuff about OSHA. Like I know you're real familiar with those things, and I've got these. I've got article after article after article. I'm even looking at one right now where it says like these are the things you need to look for. These are the symptoms of dehydration, and they know what to look for, and you know what to look for, and you know how to like tell them, okay, you need to take a break or you need to hydrate. But it's that those are the only options. Yeah. There's not like a solution other than when they do pass out, you have to take them to emergency room. I'm working with an AC company right now, and he said we had to pull a guy out of the attic last summer. He goes, it was the scariest thing we've ever had to do. He goes, and I don't want to do that again. Yeah. And so he's like, so what's really nice about how I've created the company is it's so inexpensive, and everybody gets their own 4-ounce bottle. So even with this whole, I didn't even plan on the COVID thing, because, in sports, everybody shares everything, know? And so it actually ended up working out because I thought, well, I want to be able to take it home with me. If I'm at a work site and I'm up on a rooftop, at the end of the day, I want recovery too. I don't want to just get it when I'm at work. I want to get it when I'm at home so that my legs aren't cramping up all night long. Mm-hmm. What most people don't understand is if your legs are cramping, your heart is under stress. It's a sign that there's an imbalance. It's not just painful as all get out. There's an actual issue too, right?
Yeah, your heart's working overtime.
Yeah. And so I've started selling our product to other people and other athletes. And I didn't plan on doing that. But when this whole COVID thing hit, hydration is real important to keeping your, lungs healthy. If you're dehydrated, and I had a doctor come on my podcast, and talk about it. If you're dehydrated, your lungs get sticky. Like the lining in your lungs gets sticky, and so you're able to hold on to more disease that way. Right. And so, even athletes who struggle with what is it, asthma, athletic asthma, they actually benefit more from taking in like an electrolyte product like we have, so because it helps them absorb the water and stay more hydrated, and their lungs function better for them. Gotcha. It's very interesting when you look at all of the side effects to dehydration.
Yeah, no. And again, like you touched on, Jen, I'm going to let our listeners know, now is the time to start hydrating your body. In some parts of the country, it's not very hot. So now would be the time to start priming that body for when the summer months come. Like down here in Texas, they're already among us. We're already at 100, 110 plus in some areas. So it's definitely beneficial to, make sure you prime your body, you hydrate, you eat correctly. Stay away from the damn energy drinks, the Red Bulls, the Monsters.
But I don't blame them though. Think about it. These men are not doing it because they want to, like they don't have any energy. It's they're looking to have energy. Because I'll tell you, construction workers, roofers, just anyone in the labor industry, first responders, like my husband, they're the hardest working people you'll ever meet. And they have the best work ethic of anyone I've ever met. And they have the best heart, and they're good, solid people. So they're making these decisions based on how they feel, right? Mm-hmm. If you can take something that's inexpensive and just add to them instead of take, like everything that in the health industry is about taking away. We got to take this away. You got to take that away. Well, if you add, if I help you feel better tomorrow with these, because you feel the difference immediately. It doesn't take a week. I mean, if you're dehydrated, you feel it right away when you start using an electrolyte product that actually absorbs. That's what the difference is.
You mean when they start using JMAR solutions, right?
There you go. Hey, listen, promote me, man. Promote me.
No, it's good. It's good.
That's awesome. It's so funny because I don't ever promote myself, and I have a podcast. And I've thought about that, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. It's
Why not?
I don't know.
So
I'm just weird.
talking about your podcast, how is that coming along? How did that come about?
Well, it's so God's got a sense of humor. I say that all the time because he created me, and I'm just a whole nother level of I don't know what. But I guess over about a year and a half ago, I was like listening to a ton of podcasts, and I was like, oh man, I got to do this. Like, I know people, and I want to interview people, and I know I have interesting friends, and I have interesting people in my life, being in the sports industry and being, in the fitness industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I just started interviewing a lot of fitness professionals and doctors and naturopathics and stuff. And over 100 interviews later, here I am, still doing it. Now I've had to take a hiatus, which I think you can understand how much work goes into podcasting. People think you just flip a switch and then that's it. It's so exhaustingly, it's hours of work. Like this show, you're going to have to work. This is the easy part.
Yeah. The recording is easy. And it's everything on the back end behind it, setting up, coordinating, with everybody and cutting out all the ums and fine tuning it into where it's your, you
have a phone call coming in.
Yeah. To where it's your, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
And it's definitely time consuming. So whoever's out there listening, thinking about getting into a podcast, just go for it, jump for it, but stick with it because it is a lot of hard work.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's connected me to a lot of amazing people. I don't regret it. But I've had to take, I think March was the last time I did a recording. I'm about to do some more. I've got some more upcoming soon, but I had to take a break because I had to put some energy into I had to change my whole business model with this COVID thing.
Yeah.
I went out with one whole idea and suddenly it was like cutting a fourth and then, trying to meet people like yourself to just get into the industry and go, listen, I have a solution for you. You know how hard it is to get someone to answer the phone. You know how hard it is to get someone to, when you have something that's going to impact people's lives in such a positive way for pennies on the dollar.
Right.
And give employers a solution because this is a major problem. Like my husband goes to work and he's like, this time of year, well, it's that time of year where we start having the posters everywhere of what your pee is supposed to look like.
Yep.
And he's like, but that doesn't give you, okay, so what happens if your pee's dark? Now what? Drink some more water, but it's still dark. The problem is even if you drink a ton of water, if you don't have the electrolyte balance, you're not absorbing it like you should. And we did there was a study that was done on firemen. I don't know if I've told you this story or not. I like stories.
Yeah,
I'm not very good at telling them yet, but anyways, I'm working on it. And they had half the firemen did like a gallon of water. And then the other half did half a gallon with the JMAR solutions in it. So half the amount of water, okay, one group and the other group. And, firemen, they're putting all that garb on. They're rushing into the heat, they're in the heat and they're rushing into a fire and they have on the protective gear. And so it's just nuts. Like they have hydration is a major issue for them. So the firemen that came back that had half the amount of water were more hydrated than the ones who had twice the amount of water because their body was able to absorb it and use it for energy. And that's what people don't understand. It's like every day my phone blew up like 3 or 4 times today, which is, I know not a lot, but it still makes me happy.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Where there's people sending me video messages saying, hey, I had no idea how tired I was until I started using this. My neighbor, she goes, my husband's like, you got to stop doing that. You got to start putting those drops in your water. We can't have you cleaning out any more closets. We don't have enough room in the trash can, Trash only comes once a week.
Yeah.
So just stuff like that where it's just putting back in. I like to call it living water. It's like putting the life back in your water. Yeah. And it's all it really is. It's not, don't overcomplicate it. It's your potassium. Yes. It's your sodium. Yes. It's a little bit of magnesium. Yes. Because all those things have to be in proper balance in order for you to be able to absorb the water. And so there you go in a nutshell.
No, that's great. And, again, it's living water. It's not to be confused with life water. Please understand this. It's not to be confused with life water. This is living water. Yeah. So, looking on your website and, I've seen, you on LinkedIn a lot and on Instagram. So I know you do workshops. So give us a rundown of how a typical workshop comes about. What do you go over? what are the things that you touch on, and is it tailored per customer, or is it like just a generic, hey, this is my spiel, and then we can fine tune it?
Well, it's funny you say that, because that was part of everything I had to change, because I can no longer go into companies and say during cold and flu season and say, hey, these are some things that you can do to make this season easier on you and your family, and just wellness tips and that kind of thing, right? Just stuff that average people don't know. Like if you can add more vitamin C, I'm not going to, we don't prescribe, but we just tell you things that you can do to make the cold and flu season better, right? That was what I would have done in the past, right? But now everything is Zoom. So what I have been doing, I had to streamline everything, really, to be honest with you. The account that I have right now that I'm working with, the latest one, the newest one, is, like I said, it's an AC company. And so I made videos. I literally just sat in front of my phone camera and I made a video and saying, hey, this is the product. This is how you use it. These are the things you need to look for. These are just tips. And it was like 7 or 8 minutes long. It was hard to keep it that short, but I just know. And then what the company did is they just sent it out to all of their employees and said, hey, we're providing this we're providing this for y'all. You have full access to this woman. If you need to call her, if you want to ask her about anything, you can email her, you can call, they have access to me as like a coach, kind of. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But then I'm just making videos. And so another company I'm working with is a moving company. And so they're totally different. I'm like, okay, guys, when you're out and about, when you're moving and stuff, these are some of the tips that I would use. This is how I would use it if I was, moving furniture around, or, so it's similar. It's not rocket science. It says how to use it on the bottle. But to me, there's nothing that replaces what you and I are doing right now.
Right.
I want people to know that they're cared for, and they're going to be taken care of, and that they matter. Okay, my dog is chewing on a bone. Can you hear that?
Barely.
Okay, good.
If you wouldn't have said anything, I probably would have just thought it was something in your house or something.
It sounds really loud, and I'm like, he never does that. I'm like, yay.
He knows you're occupied and you're not paying him attention. That's usually why pets do that.
Oh yeah, and he's spoiled rotten.
So, but, and for those that don't know what AC guys go through, and what movers go through, they're lifting all of your heavy furniture, all your antique, China cabinets, and they're sweating, and the AC guys are not only on the outside in the elements, but then them having to go up into the attic. You have a 2-story house, they're up in the attic and looking at everything, and they're losing a lot of energy, they're losing a lot of hydration, and they're sweating a lot. It could get up to, especially in the summer months, up to 200, 220 inside the attic. So imagine that, plus all the fiberglass insulation that's in there. So your next AC guy, your next mover, your next laborer out there, thank them, because they are out there continuing to build America for us. And, they're out there busting their butts in the heats, in the elements, to keep this, great country going. So it's definitely,
they need people to take care of them.
Yeah, definitely. And the companies.
The companies are getting it. It's just, I know there's more out there that need it. They need to know, because they don't know unless you hear a podcast like this, or because I've done research, and I've tried to find other wellness companies out there that do more than just like your typical wellness company will go into a workspace and have fitness programs and community things that they can do together, and group workouts and nutrition plans. But who's going out and making sure the guy on the rooftop is getting what he needs to be able to function and not fall off that rooftop, because of the heat exhaustion. And it's such a major issue, because it's we've already, you and I both have been getting like inundated with article after article from OSHA saying, hey, stay on top of this, be watchful of it. These are the signs of what you need to look for with fatigue and all that, because it's your responsibility, like, because that's what you do, and safety, to make sure that people aren't who are handling equipment, like I don't know your job site what they're doing, but usually there's sharp objects everywhere, and
Yeah, no,
they're
and it's a big construction site, and like you touched, it's my job to make sure that everybody goes home safe,
mm,
and having to stay on top of 100 guys working, not to mention understanding what the elements are going to do and how big and it's going to beat them up, and giving them the value that they need to understand that they're cared for, and just caring for them, giving them
yeah.
everything, all the tools that they need to be successful, to stay safe, to watch out for one another. And that's why I'm passionate about safety.
Yeah, I can tell. I mean, it's obvious. You really do care about people, and if you have just a 4-ounce bottle that you can hand to a worker, and that's where I want to be able to go to job sites and stand beside you and do like a little 10-minute to do, so that
Hmm.
because people are like, what is this crap, why is this lady they get it once they try it,
Yeah.
especially, oh my gosh, my athletes are like, holy cow, like I had no idea, like that's huge. So the same thing's gonna happen for them, but I that's all as of right now with business model that I have, because I'm just literally trying to change it and make it work for this COVID stuff, the social distancing thing. Until then, I can send videos. But I mean, if a company like yours wants someone like me to come out, it's not going to cost them anything to get me to come out there. They're just going to have to pay for the actual
A product.
product. And
Right.
product's so inexpensive as it is, it's like a no brainer. It's like an insurance policy almost, because you're not having to take people to emergency room. Or if they get to that point, you can't make people do stuff. You can't make people eat healthy. You can't make people work out. You can't make. I've been in
Right.
this industry a long time, and I can tell people till they're blue in the face that if you eat Skittles before a game, that you're not going to have a good game. But until they decide to not do it, they're gonna continue to do it, right?
Yeah.
And so it still gives like job someone like yourself at a job site. If you see something that gets really bad, goes south, I'm sure you've experienced it,
Yeah.
and they're on their way to the emergency room, which nobody wants to go to these days.
Yeah.
You can give them an option of, hey, let's squirt some of this stuff, because we've done that on the sidelines of football games. Our cyclist Olympic team uses our product. But for cramping when they're in the racing, they actually literally squirt it in their mouth if they start to cramp, because they'll absorb it, and it'll be able to give them a fighting chance. Because those are
Nice.
important things, and I'm not going to prescribe and say that it cures anything, or, we got to be careful with that kind of stuff. I'm not saying any of that, but there is something to be said when there's someone in a state that you have to get them to an emergency room.
Right.
That if you have an answer of that you don't have an IV, but you have electrolyte, a liquid that you can get into them,
Mhm.
that's going to give them a fighting chance, and it's going to give them an opportunity to, have more a chance of making it to the emergency room,
Right.
because it is
Right.
a major deal.
It is when somebody goes into shock, and you
Scary.
start seeing the telltale signs, and you try to get them water, but then the body's already too far gone. The organs start shutting down. You go into that that shock, and then it's off to the emergency room, like you said. You pump full of IVs, and then they're in there for 2 days, and not to mention the damage that that is done
Mhm.
to the body already. So
Yeah.
catching this on the front end, and giving them the tools that they need, and the water and the electrolytes, and it's all natural. That's
Mhm.
the good thing. Stuff that we take for granted out in the elements outside, you fine tuned it and put it into some electrolytes for our bodies to, fight
Quick
heat
absorbing.
stress. Yeah.
Well, and it's not a new product. That's what I want everyone to understand. This is not a new concept, and it's not a new product, but it is. I did partner with the number one company in the country for a reason, because I wanted quality. I wanted it to work, and I wanted people to have the ability to use it, and especially the labor industry.
Right.
I would love to get in with first responders too. My husband's been using it his whole life. He's he's 22 years now as a police officer,
Yeah.
and they wear the vests and everything, and he puts it in his water bottle at the first of the day, and then there's other things that he does too, with power packs and stuff like that. But it makes a huge difference especially when the heat starts to hit, because they're just sweating nonstop.
Yeah.
It's so hot.
Yeah. So any first responders that out there, policemen, firemen, EMTs, people that'll be subjected to the elements, tell them to tune in. Tell them to
Yeah.
tune into this, and then reach out to Jen.
To Jen.
So yeah, to Jen. JMAR Solutions, Jen Martinez. So what
Yeah.
sparks your ideas? Speaking of video, and you say that you send them out to your customers, what
Yeah.
sparks the ideas for you to do your infomercials? I've seen them on LinkedIn, and you know, I've commented on them. They're very funny, and you know, getting the family involved. How do you go about that? How do you convince them to do it, and what sparks that idea?
I'm the mom of the house. They don't get fed unless I'm happy, right? No, see, here's the thing. Like I said, I'm a former athlete. My husband's a former athlete, and my kids are. All right, both of them. So they grew up around this stuff. So this is not new to them. And so when we're stuck in the home, and I'm like, we finish a workout, I'm like, hey guys, let's brainstorm. Let's make something funny. Infomercials are funny to me, And so I thought, well, let's just make some. People need entertainment. They don't need more information. I mean, you can get on the internet and you can look up everything I've said today, and there's a million different websites you could go to about electrolytes, right? Nobody wants to look at that stuff. I mean, they want to be entertained. They want to know, oh, okay, that person was on their back, horrible acting, and then I ran over and gave them some JMAR solutions, and they jumped right up and started battle roping really fast. I mean, like it's goofy,
Yeah.
but it's fun. My husband. What's funny is I didn't give him a script or anything. He just looked at the bottle, and the one that you're probably talking about is the ED one where he says electrolyte. Yeah, he looks at the bottle, he's like, ED, performance enhancement. Electrolyte drops and everyone's always already thinking the other ED.
Yep.
He's like, it's going to help my performance. And then he starts going, I'm getting bigger already. And he's lifting the weight. Yeah. I kept all of that in there. And so, and then I did another one that made fun of him that said, don't be like this guy, weak and unable to perform, so like we're talking about electrolytes, but when you say ED, people are going to automatically think of the other commercials that are out there. Right. And I thought it'd be funny. I like that kind of stuff. I think humor is a great way to communicate.
And then and didn't mean to cut you off and, communicating, but then it's you as you are presenting your company, JMAR Solutions, and, the funny in it, of generating that. And then not only that, the family aspect of it. Yeah. Family, for me, family comes first, first and foremost, so, I have, my wife, my 4 daughters. So it's definitely, family first. And then for us to be able to have fun and put ourselves into what we're doing, and then make it funny, it's great.
Isn't it great? I can't wait to see some videos that you come out with. I hope I inspire you to make some videos with your daughters. Good Lord, 4 daughters, you're broke. Okay. And holy cow, if you're not already, God bless you, honey. Oh man, I only have 1 girl. But you said something about family, and it's interesting because on my website, we have our core values. I'm a core value based person. I'm a family oriented person. I turned down lots of opportunities in the past with certain things in the sports and in this industry that I was in, the fitness industry, because it would take me from my kids in a time where I felt like they needed me. And I consciously made those decisions, and those are hard to do because when money looks good and you can provide for other things, you kind of sometimes gamble that. And I'm like, no, because I can never get back my 8-year-old son, but I can always make money when he's 18, and now he's 18. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So those are the core values that are on my website for a reason, because that is mainly one of the things that really drives me in this business is not the performance for the men at work. It's for the performance of men and women when they get home. Because women too, I keep saying men, but I'm just being general. I should say men and women, because when they get home, they're coming home to baseball practices. They're coming home to homework. They're coming home to chaos. They're coming home to putting this one in the bathtub and that one going to a game and this one, and if they can't function and have energy, that affects the home life. And then that's it. Family is truly first. If you really care about your employees, you care about them when they're not at work.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes employees great at work. My husband and I have been married for, how long have we been married now? I'm awesome with this stuff. 23 years this year. Yeah. It's my daughter. Wow. Yeah. So 23 years this year, in 2 months, we'll be married 23 years, right?
Nice.
When he first went into law enforcement, we were told that it's the worst. Like the divorce rate is like 80% or something crazy. I mean, it was a lot. Don't quote me on that, but it was a lot. I remember going into a meeting, they're saying a lot of marriages don't survive. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's so much demand on an officer, just like there's demand on any man, and I was able to nourish him. I knew how to do that. And I knew the demand that was in the stress level on him, because when you have stress, that leaches energy and minerals out of your body too. Not just physical stress, mental stress,
Stress,
and the stress of the job and all of that. And I know you have that in construction too. And I was able to nurture him in a way that he needed to. And I know that made him more likely to not have the issues that other officers maybe brought home, because they weren't able to manage it. Because if you don't have mineral content in your body, you can't manage stress. And most people don't even know that. And it's such a simple thing. It's not a vitamin. That's what's very different.
Mm-hmm.
Electrolytes and minerals are very different than vitamins. They kind of get lumped together, but there's a reason why doctors tell you eat your fruits and vegetables. Like they don't ever say don't eat your fruits and vegetables. They always say eat your fruits and vegetables. Well, what's in them? It's the mineral content. It's the stuff that comes from the soil. That's the foundational stuff that keeps your heart and organs and everything healthy, right?
Right.
Well, and so if you know something simple like that, and all you need to do is just add it, not take, like deprivation, like diets. Oh, don't even get me started on diets. I hate them. I don't agree with them. I think it's deprivation thinking, and it doesn't work. And God bless. I think there's things that you have to do in life for health reasons. Don't get me wrong. I am a health coach, and so I understand that there are things you might have to avoid for a certain period of time because of a health problem. So don't confuse the two. But for weight loss and aesthetic reasons, diets don't work. It's proven. We'd all be what we wanted to be, the size we wanted to be if it worked, right?
Right.
Because it's deprivation. Nutrition, adding value to people's life, it's going to do more for anyone. And that's all we're trying to do with our company is we're just trying to add value. We're trying to add energy. We're trying to add nourishment to employees, for an inexpensive, easy way.
Right. And you talked about your core values, and that's one of my questions that I was going to see, because I looked on your website and, I seen that you had the core values, and it's funny that you said that. So out of all the core values that you have on there, which one means the most to you?
I think generosity.
Okay.
I believe in giving, big time. I've seen what it has done for my family, and it's one of the principles from God's word that I stand on. I know people get all caught up in, preachers asking for money. I don't think it's our place to question where the money goes. If you want to give to something, you give to it, because that's what God doesn't need our money. You're going to make me start preaching now. You may not want to go here.
It's all good.
He created the world. He created everything. That's my core value belief. All right. And so knowing that he's not looking for your money, he doesn't want your money. He wants to know where your heart is. And to me, if you're someone that can give, you have a heart for God, and it's the closest you could be to God. Is where, and having said that, I am the worst person in the world. I am terrible. I'm a sinner, like the worst sinner that you ever met. That's why I need Jesus. Like if I was a good person, I wouldn't need Jesus. But let me tell you, I don't make good choices, and I mess up all the time. But I do know that when I surrender and I hand it over to God, it's so much better for me, And so that's kind of where that comes from. That's why generosity is on there, because I've seen it work in my life where things should not have been taken care of that were taken care of because I did what I knew was the right thing to do in giving.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, and you stuck to your faith, and that's great. And and it's not just I like the fact that you said generosity, because again, you are here to give back, to add value. I say that every time at the end of the show. We hope that we brought some type of value to your life when you're listening to us driving down the road, when you're working out, whatever it may be. If we were able to give you value and be generous to, invest our time in you guys, so that way, and gals, to be able to, be successful and maybe have a new perspective on life, then, we're giving it our all, and it's going to keep coming. I'm not stopping. And I don't think Jennifer is either.
Well, God's going to bless you a ton, with 4 girls. You need to start giving like over and above and beyond. You're going to need all the help you can get. Holy moly. How old are your girls?
15, 14, 12, and 9.
You don't look old enough to have that. That's crazy. That's not fair.
Yeah. So
I-
I'm still learning, having the teenagers, and I've talked about this on other episodes, but I have lots of guns. Being a Texan, it's great. But it's definitely a learning curve. And for all the women that are raising daughters, for all the men that have teenage daughters, trust me when I tell you this, it is not a cakewalk. It is hard. It's work, but by the time they get ready to graduate college, or graduate high school, go off to college, they're going to love you a heck of a lot. Stick with it, stay by them, hug them every chance you get, tell them that they're beautiful, and be that shoulder for them to cry on.
One of the things people ask me all the time, because I have a daughter who's to be 22, and then my son who's 18, and he's my youngest. That started. We finished with. We only had 2, so we were smart. I don't want. I'm just messing around. But they're like, how did you get your daughter to listen to this and do that? And like, she's so successful and she's doing all these things. And I was like, I wasn't her friend. I was her parent. And my son, when he was going through high school, he's a big giant redhead football player. And my thing with the football players here, and if you're good, you got that ego thing and stuff. And to me, that's etching God out. And I'm like, oh, I will humble you. I will drag your head. I will drag you off of that field by your helmet. I don't care how big you get. And he's like 285, like 6'2", 285. He's a big boy.
Yeah.
And I'm tiny. And so, but his coaches were like, he fears you. And I'm like, yeah, because I hold the keys to his car. I hold the keys to his phone. I hold the keys to the door that he gets to walk in every day. I hold the keys to buying all the food he gets to put in his body. If he wants a good life, he's going to be obedient. If he doesn't want a good life, I'm going to take everything that he loves and I'm going to take it away from him and he can go find it himself.
Right.
And so what we would tell him is if he was going to a party, because this is where you're at. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's different than you and I growing up. If someone was drinking at a party, it was hearsay. Yeah. Now everybody's got a video camera, mm-hmm. It could ruin your future. Your daughter who's 15, 16, those pressures are tough. Yeah. If your daughter goes to a party and sees that stuff going on and she knows that she can call her dad and knows that she can tell her friends, my parents are going to ruin my life. You're going to get a slap on the hand, but I'm out. I want a car next year. I want to keep my cell phone. I want to keep the things that I have, and they're going to take it all away from me. Mm-hmm. They're more likely to say, my parents are crazy. I started telling my son all the time, you just tell them your mom is crazy. She will mm-hmm. come and she will she'll take the bed out of your room. She'll take the door off of your door. I married a Hispanic. I married a Hispanic, but I got a lot of that Latino in me just naturally because I'm just like, we had to use the rod a little bit with my son. And what I mean rod, just spanked him,
Yeah. I don't know.
He was a redhead. He was a giant redhead. And I'm so grateful that we did because he's a good kid now. And my daughter, could look at her funny and she would be like, she's straight up. But that's beside the point. But if you have those things set, if that's how you are in the home, they're going to make better choices because it's not them up. You're not leaving the choice up to them.
Right.
Because if you leave it up to them, then they're going to be like, oh, you're so lame. Yeah. And it's like, no, I'm not lame. I'm just freaking scared of my parents, Mm-hmm. And it takes that out. And so I'm sure you're that way. Is
yes, your wife Hispanic? No, my wife is not Hispanic. And I married, a white girl. So it was pretty cool. And, same thing. She's very headstrong. We're both Tauruses. I was in the military. So I, have that, the wrath of God that, when stuff needs to be done and it needs to be done now.
Amen.
So, but they are starting to keep continue to grow into their own young women. I'm still trying to keep my baby a baby, but it's hard when you have teenagers in the house, and so
it is. You're going to do a great job. I'll be praying for you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, yes. What is some advice you would give to a younger JMAR?
That's a good question, man. I wasn't ready for that. Oh, wow. A younger JMAR. Don't worry so much about what people think. It's taken me a long time to get to a place where I'm okay if people don't like me if I say I love Jesus. It's taken me a long time to get to a place where I'm okay if my if I mess up. I mess up all the time, and I love it when I mess up on film because I want to put that out there because I think people think that you need to be perfect, and nobody's perfect, and you can't relate to perfect. And growing up as an athlete, you're so hard on yourself, and you want to do well every single time. And if you mess up, then you keep doing it until you can get it right,
Right.
And I just wish I had not been so hard on myself, and not cared so much about what people thought, because in the end, and I coach people now on this. It's like, if you're at a gym and people are like, I don't want to go over that section because it's intimidating. And it's like, those people don't even look at you. They're looking at themselves. Like, they don't care what you're doing. Nobody cares about what anybody's saying. They're all thinking, what are they thinking about me? And nobody's thinking about the other person.
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those things I wish I had gotten more comfortable with earlier, and so yeah, that's what I would probably do. I would tell that. I'd be like, you know what, just be okay with being weird, because you're weird, and that's the way God created you, and it's okay.
It's okay to be yourself and be you. No, and that's great. I mean, again, if you can't, be comfortable in your own skin and, not care what people think, everybody's gonna have opinions of you, and some are gonna be good, some are gonna be bad. The ones that are good, well, continue to, keep doing what you're doing, so you keep having those good opinions. The ones that are bad, sometimes they're constructive criticism, and we take them for what it is, with a grain of salt, brush them off and keep pushing forward. And that's, that's what I like to, my philosophy on it. Any kind of opinion that comes towards my way, I'm always open for constructive criticism. But, if you have something negative to say, go ahead and say it. It doesn't mean I'm going to listen to what you have to say, but, I'm always open to, receive that from people. So,
Yeah, I could tell. And you have to be. You've got 5 women in the house. You've got a lot of estrogen around you.
6, including my dog. And then we just finally got a boy dog. So it's me and my boy.
Yes.
So we're good.
What kind of dog?
Miniature Schnauzer.
Aw.
Yeah.
You went with such a big, rough, tough dog.
Yeah. He has a nice little squeaky bark, but he's gonna be mine. Mm-hmm. So the girls
gotta have that.
Yeah, the girls are starting to make him a sissy. So I need to get back home and toughen him up a little bit. Mm-hmm. So before we end the show, let everybody know where they can reach you at.
Oh, yeah.
Let everybody know, your tags, your handles, where to find you. So if they want to go ahead and look at your website and, get on board the JMAR solution, electrolyte drops, let them know where to find you at.
Well, I mean, jmarsolutions.net is our website. So that's easy. And from there, you can see my YouTube. And my podcast isn't connected to it. But I haven't really, my podcast is more about my fitness stuff. And so, I mean, it'll be more about business here soon, but that's JMAR Solutions. And so it's all JMAR Solutions. It's JMAR.solutions on Instagram. It's, let's see what else, even my YouTube, because I put my, what is that called?
The infomercials.
On right now, podcast. Oh, my infomercials. Yeah. I mean, LinkedIn is Jennifer Martinez. I think that's how LinkedIn works. I'm still trying to figure all this stuff out. It's so difficult.
The way you do about it, just a little trick somebody told me, is you log on online. You can't do it from your phone. You actually have to be on a laptop or computer. And you log on and you go scroll down all the way to your email address, your LinkedIn email address, your URL, and you click on that and you can customize it. So that way mine, it used to be some long URL. Now it's just Pedro Maciel CHST.
Oh.
So you could put, JMAR Solutions.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Oh, that's cool.
Customize it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. I probably won't remember to do that. It's like, oh my gosh, this is so many things,
Yeah.
And, but yeah, Facebook, JMAR Solutions, it's all JMAR Solutions, real quick, how JMAR came about?
How?
Okay. Cause I married a Hispanic, right?
Yeah.
Toby Martinez is my husband's name. And so when J-Lo, okay, so you were probably like a teenager, if that, you might probably been younger than that. J-Lo came out. She was dating a guy, right? And Jennifer Lopez,
Yeah.
He called her J-Lo. Mm-hmm. And so my husband was sitting there and he's like, well, you're Jennifer Martinez, so I'm going to start calling you JMAR. And I'm not kidding you. That was like over 15 years ago. And we're still calling me JMAR. And so it just, whenever I decided to go into like social media world a couple of years ago, I just decided to just start naming everything JMAR. And then when I started my company, I was like, well, let's just keep it JMAR, JMAR Wellness Solutions, because it's just, why not? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, no, and it's great. And that's, that's the whole, the backstory. And it's good for our listeners to understand how the JMAR came about. That's one question I didn't ask. But I was just like, okay, well, her first name's Jen, so that's the J. Her last name's
Anymore.
Martinez, and the MAR. Okay, JMAR, I get it. But now we know why. So J-Lo, if you're listening to this or it gets to your ears, you have some competition.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Well, Lord have mercy. We don't even, if you've seen my videos, I don't, my dancing skills are horrible, but I still do them because it's fun, and always have fun. Guys, just enjoy life and have fun. But yeah, go to my website. You can find out all sorts of information on me on there. You can click on links. I'm working on getting more stuff on there. I'm not a techie person. So my son helps me with that. And I hired someone to help me put stuff on there, but it's hard to get all that stuff on there. I have every day we're trying to get on there like testimonials. That's a whole nother thing because I get testimonials every day, all day long. Now that people are starting to use it, they can feel the difference. And that speaks volumes,
Right.
And I mean, I saw the difference in the athletes when I worked with them, but now that people are understanding it, because it's when you work like all these, celebrities and athletes, they all have these like sports drinks that they promote, but that's not what they're really using. Like nobody's going to say that because there's so much money in it, but they know how to fuel their bodies. And so they're using the stuff that, we're using and it's just they're not sponsored. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's the best. If they're number one, the company I'm working with is number one in the country for a reason. It's because it's quality and you can feel the difference. They even say, feel the difference or your money back,
Nice.
So that's why I teamed up with them.
Good.
Yeah, there you go.
One last question before we go. What is your X factor?
Oh, I've listened to your podcast. I don't remember you asking this of people. Did you ask
everybody?
This of
everybody.
Jared?
I ask everybody what their X factor is.
Oh, my X factor. Yeah, man. Now you caught me off guard. What did Jared say? Do you remember?
I do, but I want to hear Jen. I want JMAR's X factor.
I'm just gonna have to. My X factor is Jesus, because I promise you, I screw everything up if I don't have God in my life, and He's the only reason why I'm able to do anything well. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so I'm just gonna give the glory to God on that one and just say Jesus, because that's truly is. There's nothing about me that is awesome, but when Jesus is with me, that makes me awesome.
Yeah.
So that's just, and it may sound corny, but it's true.
No, not at all.
I had something funner.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's great. And again, everybody, that's why we come on the show. And, I ask everybody what their X factor is.
Yeah.
And what makes you, what makes you great and unique to being JMAR. Yeah. So, having the faith of God, and that's your X factor.
It is. That's
so
good.
Again, I really appreciate you taking the time out to come on the show. I know our listeners are going to enjoy this episode once it comes out. So again, those of you that are listening to us, until next time, we'll see you later. Well, we're at the end of our show. We want to thank you for lending us yours for just a little bit. We hope you were able to get a bit of value out of this episode. We would love to hear from you, so go check us out on the website, thexfactorofsafety.com. Send us an email at xfactorofsafety@gmail.com. You can even give us a call or send us a text message over to our X Factor hotline at 434-381-0723. If you have thoughts or ideas for the show or would like to be featured on the show, reach out and we'll make it happen. So before I go, ask yourself one question. What is your X factor? Until next time.